Morning, how are you?
Morning.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
What do we got?
Coach, it's been a tough season, and you've kept your team up. And how do you handle the process of the season? Because you've had such success as a competitor, losing as often as you did. How did you deal with that?
Well, we're very micro in our approach, and it's a daily basis and approach to whatever we do. So, we're just, as in today, we're just trying to have a really good Wednesday. So, I think when you break things down, I think people kind of look at them too macro-ish. We look at them very micro-ish of what can we control. Let's worry about our controllables, and then try to be obsessed with improvement. And that's what we are. We're obsessed with improvement, and can we get better than when we were yesterday? And that's really kind of how we break it down to a small process.
What are you seeing from Stanford.com this year?
I think it's David Shaw is one of the better coaches in college football, and I think they're not running the ball as successful as they've been in the past running it, but they're doing a heck of a job in the passing game. So I think he's, one part of their game isn't probably where he wants it to be. So then, they've really upped it from a passing standpoint. I think Costello's having an outstanding season. They got a really talented receiver. Really talented tight ends. So it's not a traditional, grind them out and pound you, what you would normally think of as a Stanford team. But I think that's a sign of a really good coach, is that I think he's made adjustments on the run, and he's been successful with that. I think defensively they're still the same type of Stanford team. They're physical. They present multiple fronts for you. They can confuse you a little bit. You got to be sharp in your assignments. And then the one thing about a David Shaw team, it never panics. You watched their comeback against Oregon and how they came back. They had a chance to be down 31-10. Came back and won that football game. And they always just kind of stick to the process, which is what you want, which good teams do, and that's what he does. So.
You had a play where we didn't have to ask whether you were going to have Wilton or Dorian because you had them both in.
Mm-hmm.
What was that play? What was the hope there?
We're just trying to see if we can gain a couple yards against a good defense. So trying to use both of their strengths. So.
Okay. You had a player who was punched in that game. Do you have some feelings about him, the offending player not being ejected from that game?
That's all up to the league, so I don't deal with that. The officials officiate the game. We coach, players play, coaches coach, officiates. So I don't get involved in any of that stuff.
How impressive was Justin Murphy's rehab coming back from arthroscopic surgery?
That's the type of kid Murphy is. He's just a tough, hard-nosed football player that, again, when it comes to anything medical, I always defer to our medical staff and the individual player. And they felt he was cleared to play and did a good enough job in what he was supposed to do from a rehabilitation standpoint, and he worked extremely hard at it. But it's just really a credit to Murph and our rehab guys that really worked very, very hard with him post-operation to get him ready to play again. So.
Maybe I haven't been watching close enough all year, but it seems the last couple of games you've gotten more to the line of scrimmage and kind of scanned the defense and changed the play call or modified it or stuck with whatever you thought would work. Is that happen, or is
you were right with your first part?
Okay.
So that's just that's something we've done since game one. So if we're trying to get into the right player or the wrong player, and I think sometimes when you get into 4-minute mode, you do it a little bit more because you're trying to work the clock a little bit more. But we haven't been in 4-minute mode that much this year, so. Just one tool in our toolbox, not something that we do all the time.
Have you maybe been hurrying to the line to have more time to do it?
No.
Okay. You've got some seniors this week that will be playing in their last game. Can you talk about the senior? I know it's a small senior class. But
yeah,
it
is a small class, but the leadership we've gotten out of the Pickett's and the Metters on the defensive side of the ball, and then Wilton coming in here as a grad transfer on the offensive side of the ball. I think it is a small class, and I don't know really why. I didn't really delve into that. A lot of times you've been around this smaller group of upperclassmen, but they've all done a really good job. Obviously you had a couple kids like Colton and Josh, rightly so, and Lasley that left and went to the draft, so they would have been seniors in this class. And that's always, I think the nature of college football now. Not a lot of guys, if they're talented enough, stay for all 4 years, but those guys have been great. They've since day one, they understand our process. They understand what we're trying to get accomplished. When you have arguably your best players are your hardest workers, it sets the tone for the rest of the group. And the way Pick works, the way Metters works, the way Wilton works, the way guys like that, like Murph and guys like that how they approach the game, I think, is a great learning tool for our young freshmen and underclassmen, because we do have a ton of those guys, but they can look to the older guys and see what it's supposed to be done like. So we're really indebted to those guys for what they did and how they stuck to the course through the entire season. And that's why I said Saturday it was fitting that those guys got a chance to go out that way, in winning a game like that. So, but we're not done. We got another really big game this week against Stanford, and we'll see how it all falls.
How will the process work with the draft eligible juniors as far as getting evaluations? You talking?
They
to them,
send their,
making decisions?
they send their stuff into the NFL, and then the NFL comes back with their recommendation of where they may get picked, and then my job in that whole case is just to educate them. It's always it's up to the individual player and the individual families to make the decision on what is best for them. And I can give them from my experience in coaching in that league and what it's about, and what that report says back from the NFL and that part of it. But it's all entirely up to them, and we support them in either way. Whether they're coming back or whether they're going to leave. I don't think that's I've never weighed in with anybody on you should stay, you should go. That's not my decision. That's their decision. Our job is to educate them and get them all the information that they need to make the proper decision.
Haven't seen Rick wait for a few days.
He's hurt right now, so.
You've had some good success with the graduate transfers this season. Is that something that you enjoy and look forward to doing more of in the future?
No, it was just a situation where we didn't have any depth at the quarterback spot, and we didn't have any depth at the offensive line spot. We were fortunate enough to add two in those positions, guys that have played and had a lot of experience playing. So it'll always be done on a case-by-case basis, but it's not, hey, we have targeted this amount of this and this amount of junior college kids and this amount of high school kids. We're just trying to bring in the best recruiting class we can for this year. So.
What are you most pleased of with your team this season?
Just the way they've come out and competed every single day, whether it be in our training sessions or in games. I think they've shown up every single time they've had an opportunity. It hasn't always gone their way, but it's a resilient bunch, and they show a lot of resolve in terms of their approach to everything. So we're pleased. I'm pleased with that with the entire group. So.